A scared, pathetic, cognitively addled, demented Donald Trump has left Davos a total loser. He came in there and started threatening Greenland and Denmark and Europe. He confused Greenland with Iceland, and he kept on saying, we're going to take over Iceland if it's the last thing we do. Then he claimed he did some sort of deal. No one knows what the hell the terms are. Some people say, oh, it's like the UK-Cyprus deal where Donald Trump's just going to claim that the existing American military bases are part of the United States now. What the hell are you even doing here? What are we doing here at all? And what a pathetic, cowardly individual Donald Trump was. He ordered the State Department to ban California Governor Gavin Newsom from giving a speech at the pavilion area where he was supposed to give a keynote fireside address. So the area in Davos where speakers show up, you know how like the Olympics have a pavilion? In Davos, it's called the USA House. And this was the first time in recent history or history at all that the State Department took control of the USA House. It wasn't in like private control. And so the State Department ran it. And Governor Newsom was supposed to speak at an event sponsored by Fortune magazine. There's going to be a fireside chat about his observations about Donald Trump's speech and the disastrous speech that Donald Trump gave at Davos, where Trump was calling Greenland Iceland and Donald Trump was praising dictators, all of that crap. But under pressure from the White House and the State Department, the USA House, which was operating out of a church in Davos, Switzerland, denied entry to California Governor Gavin Newsom and refused to allow him to give the speech that he was supposed to give. How utterly pathetic can you be? So Governor Newsom kept on trolling Donald, making posts like this. Dozy Don conquers Davos. And it's a photo of Donald Trump sleeping with all of the world leaders, Carney, Macron, von der Leyen, and others, pointing at him, laughing at this pathetic thing, this pathetic creature that is Donald Trump. And I mean, you take a look at what Donald Trump did at Davos. It's part of this humiliation tour, this American decline tour, as the rest of the world is literally laughing in the face of the United States. Our former allies are horrified. Donald Trump's out there, and this was one part of it where he was asked by the CNBC host, so you say now you did a deal with Greenland and Denmark? Tell us about it. And Donald Trump's like, I got concepts of a deal. They're great concepts that I got. Just more fraud from this pathetic thing. Enough is enough. Americans want to support our allies. We don't want this crap. And setting aside that, we just want to be able to afford healthcare, to be able to afford rent, to be able to get paid with dignity, to be able to have a good education, to be able to afford groceries. But here's what Donald Trump said to the CNBC host. We have concepts of a deal. Here, play this clip.
Can you go into what you just talked about with the NATO meeting?
Well, we have a concept of a deal. I think it's going to be a very good deal for the United States, also for them. And we're going to work together on something having to do with the Arctic as a whole, but also Greenland. And it has to do with the security, great security, strong security, and other things.
And then just to remind you, this is when Donald Trump started talking about how we need a dictator. A dictator is what we need. Sometimes you need a dictator. This is your speech representing the United States of America. We need a dictator. By the way, on the very same day that Vladimir Putin agreed to join Donald Trump's board of, Trump calls it a board of peace, Trump, Putin, Netanyahu, Lukashenko. That's the Trump alliance right now. So utterly pathetic. But here, Donald Trump says, we need authoritarian rule. We need dictators. Play this clip.
We had a good speech. We got great reviews. I can't believe it. We got good reviews in that speech. Usually they say he's a horrible dictator type person. I'm a dictator. But sometimes you need a dictator. But they didn't say that in this case. And no, it's common sense. It's all based on common sense. It's not conservative or liberal or anything else. It's mostly, let's say 95% common sense. And that's what we have. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. It's such an honor. And if we can ever help, you're going to let me know. And I have a pretty direct line.
And then this was the moment where Donald Trump confused Greenland with Iceland. We need to take Iceland. We're taking Iceland. Again, as Governor Newsom says, can we stop grading this idiot on a curve? Can we behave like grown-ups and say, enough is enough? You're threatening to invade the wrong country because you're so cognitively addled that you're going after the wrong ally. Really? Play this clip.
I know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up.
And by the way, the Secretary of NATO, Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, he was asked on state regime media last night on Fox, So did you and Donald Trump discuss the status of Greenland as part of the framework of the deal? Right? Because we discussed the future framework of a framework. And according to Mark Rutte, at least last night on Fox, he said, nope, there was no discussion at all about the status of Greenland. Here, play this clip.
Expanding maybe U.S. military presence. But what I don't hear is Greenland is it still under the Kingdom of Denmark in this framework deal?
That issue did not come up anymore in my conversations tonight with the president. He's very much focused on what do we need to do to make sure that that huge Arctic region, where change is taking place at the moment, where the Chinese and Russians are more and more active, how we can protect that. That was really the focus of our discussions.
And so this is what Trump is a predator. I just want to say this to the people of Greenland, to the people of Denmark. You can't give this guy an inch. You can't give him an inch. You give him an inch, he takes your life. He is a predator. He has been a predator his entire life. He's a felon. He's a sexual predator. He's found liable in a civil case of being a sexual predator, of sexually assaulting a woman. He's on tape saying he grabs women by their vaginas because he's rich and you can do it when you're rich. He's on tape saying that he inspects girls naked at beauty pageants. He's a sicko. He's a sick psycho. And he's covering up a child sex trafficking ring. You don't give this guy an inch. And if ultimately this deal is about, or whatever they're talking about, even him claiming the military bases in Greenland are American, he's a predator. You have to push back on this guy. I know you know that the way Canada's, but you have to push back on this guy. And he's hoisted up by regime media here. I mean, you got Jesse Waters, so utterly pathetic on Fox. And Jesse Waters is like, so are you saying that Donald Trump is a 4-year-old? Or are you saying that he's mentally ill? Or are you saying that he's a dictator? He can't be all of them. Let's play this clip right here.
The speech was dangerous, it was disrespectful, and it was unhinged. You saw him ramble on in stories and even try to do voices. I mean, this is really concerning, and for the United States, frankly, embarrassing.
All right, have a sense of humor. Is Trump a 4-year-old brat or an aging, mentally ill dictator? You got to pick a lane.
Now, back in the United States, Donald Trump's approval is atrocious. I'm going to do a whole other video on this. But as Donald Trump is so scared in Davos to even let Governor Newsom speak, what a pathetic little person Donald Trump is. Donald Trump's approval in Georgia, based on the latest poll from The Economist, negative 18.6%. In Texas, Donald Trump's negative 17.2%. Okay. In Maine, negative 18.4%. Michigan, negative 15.8%. Ohio, negative 9.2%. North Carolina, negative 13.6%. Florida, he's negative 7.5%. How about Mississippi? He's negative 6.9%. In South Carolina, he's negative 7.3%. He is detested. He's despised. He is reviled. Now, again, going back to state regime media here, Will Cain, one of their newer propagandists on state regime media, says, now Donald Trump came up with the greatest deal. It's an infinite deal. And this is what we wanted. What are we doing here? America doesn't want this. This is predatorial. This is disgusting. The hell is going on here? Play Will Cain.
So joining me now is former U.S. Ambassador to Denmark and Greenland, Carla Sands. Thanks for being with us here today. I don't know if you have more information than what we've been able to gather so far on the framework of this potential deal. What is your suspicion on President Trump described it as an infinite deal, a big win for all parties, which is an interesting framing considering earlier today he said, who in the hell in their right mind would want to lease or license presence on Greenland?
Yeah, I don't know what he's ended up with. I know that he said unequivocally that we had to own it. And I had thought it would be a COFA, more like a free association, but that's not what that is. So does it look more like our relationship with Puerto Rico? I'm looking forward to learning as much as you are about this new deal, that the framework is in place. But it's really encouraging.
And here was Vladimir Putin saying, we have agreed to give America $1 billion and we will join the Board of Peace.
We could contribute $1 billion to the Board of Peace from the frozen assets assets frozen by the previous administration, and the remaining funds from the funds frozen in the United States could be used to rebuild territories that suffered during hostilities once we sign a peace deal.
The $1 billion goes to Donald Trump directly. Trump takes the $1 billion and puts it in a Qatari bank account. Okay, I'm not making this up. That's where the oil money's going right now from Delcy Rodriguez, the authoritarian in Venezuela, has agreed to allow Donald Trump to take oil money so Trump can sell oil personally, not for America, to his right-wing oligarch friends. He takes the money and he puts it in a Qatari bank account for himself, no oversight, to enrich himself. And by the way, speak right now to pro-democracy activists who are living in America about what's happening in Venezuela. Speak to them. They don't want Delcy Rodriguez. This has been the ultimate betrayal to the pro-democracy community here, who thought that there would be a path to democracy. They can't go back. And by the way, Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela, She released some political prisoners, but then she imprisoned way more people. That's what's going on in Venezuela. What about the betrayal to the people of Iran? Donald Trump said, go out there and protest. We got your back. If the Ayatollah kills one person, America will go in guns a-blazing and take out the Ayatollah. What's Donald Trump doing? He allowed thousands to get massacred. What about to our Kurdish allies in northern Syria? Donald Trump threw them under the bus. Do you know the through line here? The same way Donald Trump supports Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela, Donald Trump supports al-Jilani in Syria, the same way Donald Trump, frankly, allowed the Ayatollah to get away with the massacre of protests, the same way Donald Trump likes Putin, the same way Donald Trump likes Lukashenko, the same reason Donald Trump hates Prime Minister Carney and hates French President Emmanuel Macron and hates the European Union and hates Denmark and hates our allies. He likes authoritarians. He admires them. That's what's going on here. This is what Governor Newsom said about Donald Trump's disastrous speech. Let's play this clip right here.
Did it stand out to you that he said Iceland multiple times when he was talking about Greenland?
And that every time a windmill turns, it costs $1,000. A lot of stuff stands out. None of this is normalized. There's a normalization of deviancy and consciousness and, comments and commentary. No other president, he's held to the curve. He's graded on a curve. I mean, it's really some jaw-dropping and remarkable statements that just, fly in the face of facts and evidence and common sense. So, but you've heard them over and over and over again. For the European audience, that may have been a new speech. My God, there wasn't anything new about that speech for the American audience. The only thing that was new is he said he's willing to negotiate, but wait a second, that's not new either, because EU's been saying we've wanted to negotiate for over a year.
And while all of this is taking place, two more things I want to say. Number one, the Melania movie, an utter disaster. Maybe I'll do a video on this. I don't know. A total bomb. It's going to be horrible. Like, I think 3 people bought tickets in Pennsylvania. 3. Who the hell wants to see a phony Melania movie where she doesn't even tell the truth about what her background is? In my opinion, I'm giving you my opinion. So that was a disaster. But on a much more serious note than a pathetic Melania documentary that Amazon apparently paid her $40 million for, so Bezos can get into the good graces of Donald Trump. How utterly pathetic. I'm going to do another video on this morning. I'll call it All Hell Breaks Loose. Wait for it. Watch it. The whistleblowers within Department of Homeland Security and other agencies saying that they've got their hands on this ICE memo where now ICE and Border Patrol are not using judicial warrants. They're using administrative warrants, just their own forms, basically. And they're just breaking into homes and getting U.S. citizens, rounding people up, throwing them into concentration camps and detention centers. They're saying, oh, well, we're actually looking for people with final detention orders. We know they're going after U.S. citizens. We know they're going after people who are living here. And again, they don't have a judicial warrant. It's a total violation of the Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizures. And that's what the Trump regime is doing. What a scared, cowardly failure of a human being he is. His legacy will be one of the worst human beings to ever walk this planet in history. Vile, pathetic, sicko, deranged. We'll keep covering it here on the Midas Touch Network. Traitor, treasonous, criminal, felon.